So it's been really interesting, right, at Market Pro as we do senior level executive searches for marketing. So anything that's director through CMO for marketing, digital transformation, digital marketing, e-commerce, communications, brand, PR, et cetera, right? That's kind of the world that we play in. And we're talking compensation packages that are director through CMO, everything in between, but they're going to have some component of base plus bonus plus long-term incentive, right? And salary negotiation is really important. When you get to the end of the process, and we've been through multiple interviews as the executive search partner, our client's been through their interview process, and we have selected the candidate that we want to go forward and take on this new opportunity, making sure we're creating a win for the candidate and a win for the client from a compensation perspective is really important. We want the candidate to start their first day feeling like they're fairly compensated for their skills, background, and experience, and we want the client to understand they're getting a great return on their investment. But we've seen some shifts in the market, right? And one of those big shifts has been with what are we going to do with the unvested equity that the candidate is walking away from, right? So if you are in a senior level role in another organization, you're going to have base plus bonus plus long-term incentive. That long-term incentive typically vests 25% a year over 4 years. And so you have unvested stock, right? And then you're joining the new employer and you're going to get base plus bonus plus long-term incentive. But there's a gap, right, between when your new stock program kicks in and what you're not going to receive from your previous employer on the stock that you're in the process of vesting. So one of the things that's really interesting in today's environment, I'm sitting here in August of 2022, is we're post-pandemic, right? We've been in a very talent-driven economy. The economy is showing signs of slowing it, and yet the talent market is not. So if it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, what we would have seen is candidates moving from company A to company B, and they have, call it $250,000 of unvested equity, unvested long-term incentive that they're going to be walking away from. And on average, could be more, could be less, but on average, the employer is going to send them a sign-on bonus or create a sign-on bonus that's 50% of what they're walking away from, right? And what that does and what that accomplishes is a couple things that we think are positive. And although I generally don't like, if you're in a negotiation, we'll just meet in the middle and split the difference, this was pretty strong. And it was pretty strong because the employer who you're now going to join, you haven't done anything for yet. You haven't created any value for. And at the end of the day, that compensation wasn't their responsibility. But to get you, they need to offset a portion of it and ultimately create their own long-term incentive program that is greater than the one you had, so that over time, you're going to be higher comped than you were, right? Well, what's happened in the last 5, 6, 7 years is the talent market has gotten significantly tighter. And so candidates, and as well they should because they can, right, have held the line on that long-term incentive. And what we've seen is the amount that employers are willing to offset has gone up dramatically. And we're now seeing it be 80, 90, 100% of what candidates are walking away from. And it's important to understand as a candidate, right, that that's possible. It's important to understand as an employer that that's now becoming the standard. And, you could argue that that's good or that's bad. And I don't know that either is important. What's important to understand is that that's now becoming market rate or market compensation or a market expectation for senior level roles that are in the world of digital marketing, digital transformation, chief marketing officer, chief product officer, et cetera. That is currently in the market that we're in, what's going on. And so certainly an expectation to set with, as the hiring manager, as the chief human resources officer, those are all conversations we're having very early in the search process, because it's not something we want to come up at the end and potentially, blow up a deal that was the right fit for our client and the right fit for the candidate. We want to make sure that negotiation at the end is as smooth as possible.